Now the east side, let me just talk about infrastructure for a second, or lack of infrastructure. We don't really get a lot of infrastructure improvements. The last rains, the east side goes underwater. Every time there's a major rain, the east side goes underwater. We need to develop a plan to take care of that issue. We did it on the west side as far as 10th Street West, Avenue I and J. If you drive around town, the streets look like a moonscape. There's nothing but craters all over the place. The roads are deteriorating. If it wasn't for the build-outs and pave-outs from builders and the stimulus money that we received in the town that did some paving, we're not maintaining our streets. There's potholes all over the place. I don't think it's a growth industry to sit there and have people having to go to the alignment shops and have the cars realigned because they're constantly being knocked out by potholes. We need less potholes. We need work done on the streets. We need resurfacing. We need infrastructure. We need the storm drains cleaned out. We need the sewers maintained. Another problem that we're having in our city is that a lot of city services are being transferred over to the public. You used to pay taxes, and part of the taxes were used to cover animal control. Now, animal control is trying to be a standalone, and the people that have dog licenses get to pay for all the services, which include things like picking up animals that have been hit in the streets, situations of rabid skunks, trapping of cats. All of these services that used to be covered by your taxes, they're now trying to lump into the cost of just having dog licenses. That's not right. What happened to the tax money that we paid for those services originally? Another one is sewers. It always used to be that you maintain the sewer to the property line, but the city owns the sewer. You don't own the sewer, it's out in the street. The city owns the sewer, but they've changed the rules now that if there's a stoppage out in the street at the Y, you get to dig up the street, you get to pay for it. I do construction, I do plumbing. That cost on a residential street on a short side service is around $10,000 to $15,000. But if you're on a busier street or it's on the opposite side of the street is where the sewer is, it could be $15,000, $20,000, $30,000. I don't think it's right that you pay taxes, and if you check your tax bill, if you look right on it, says sewer maintenance fee, you're paying taxes to maintain the sewers. The city takes that money and they don't maintain the sewers. They change the rules so that you get to maintain the sewers. Parkway trees, they're not being trimmed. Street lights, they're trying to have it so that you pay the electric bill for the street lights. That for as long as I can remember, and I remember when I was a kid, they put the street lights in on our street. And that those fees were usually picked up by the city as part of your city services. Another problem that we're having with this is because as these services are kicked out, the money that you used to be used to pay for those services is being used to the betterment of a very select small group of people. The citizens of Lancaster are not going to get very much benefit, if any, out of a $5.1 million park that's being built for a private school. The citizens of Lancaster aren't going to get any benefit out of $7.1 million that was spent to cover a ditch that's been there for millions of years that nobody's ever driven into, that's never busted up a car. Meanwhile, the people on the east side, when I went out there, there's cars all over the place that were killed going through the water and flooding out. Our priorities are wrong. The priorities of the city need to be what's good for the majority of the people. What's good for people that help the city grow with the greatest amount of good. It's not about what's going to help a few individuals that don't even live in town generally benefit. The money of the city needs to be earmarked for the betterment of the people of the city. We need to get away from a philosophy of people coming into town and they take the gold and leave us with the shaft. That is not right.